So I gotta get.
Or run out of seed, for example.
Prince George had a cheeky message for a Clarkson's farm star ahead of Prince William's big event with young farmers, and it's got everyone talking. At a Duchy of Cornwall gathering, Prince William revealed that his eldest son, Prince George, is a huge fan of Clarkson's farm. However, Prince George had a simple request for Caleb Cooper, who assists Jeremy Clarkson on the smash hit show.
I'm sure there's lots of that. It doesn't snow anymore, we're fine. You've got George watching.
Yeah, yes.
So he said to me, if I get to try to, what should I say? Say to language.
I don't swear ever.
No, never.
It's because the people I work with are annoying. Like, see, that was me being controlled. That was. You see that?
No offence taken.
Wow.
Yes, even at just 11 years old, Prince George knows Caleb's reputation for colourful language, and was not afraid to call it out. But this event wasn't just about TV banter. Prince William's real focus? Supporting young farmers. He met with 60 young tenants from the Duchy of Cornwall, tackling some of the biggest issues in agriculture, from business resilience and mental health to industry challenges. William has long been vocal about the pressures of farming, a profession that can often be isolating and uncertain. And in a major step forward, the Prince of Wales was named a new patron of We Are Farming Minds, a mental health charity working to break the stigma and offer counselling, support and 24/7 assistance to those in need. This move builds on the Duchy's rural mental health strategy, launched in 2023, ensuring farmers get the help and recognition they deserve. So, while Prince George brought the laughs, Prince William made real change, backing Britain's farming community when it matters most. This comes at a time of widespread anxiety as farmers protest against the government's inheritance tax raid.
For now, we're going to turn to the issue of farmers, because this was something that was studiously left out of the statement in Parliament today. Joining us is GB News presenter Emily Carver, who's at a farm in Northumberland. Emily, what did those farmers make of it?
Yeah, well, thanks, Tom. We were sat there in the farmer's house in Northumberland, listening to the Chancellor there, waiting for something, waiting for the mention of agriculture, waiting for the mention of farming, but it didn't come, did it? So I'm going to get some reaction for you right now from Matthew and David Jordan, father and son, local farmers here, just to get your reaction to the absence of any mention this time on farming. What do you reckon?
I'm really disappointed that the Chancellor hasn't done something to help us with inheritance tax. Massive problem for a sector that is on its knees. Agriculture is on its knees. I've spent 50 years farming. This is the worst period of my farming life. Since the November budget, I've got up in the morning and thought, what is the point of farming? I've worked many hours through the night, carving cows, cutting corn for 50 odd years, and what this government is doing is a total disaster for agriculture.
And Matthew, there's been a lot of anxiety in the run-up to this spring statement. There were question marks over red diesel. There were question marks over the agricultural budget as a whole, and of course, inheritance tax too. What are your thoughts that there was simply no mention?
I think personally it's a massive missed opportunity for the government there. You know, they've waged a war, I think, on rural communities, on the rural economy and farmers in the last 9 months. I think they had an opportunity here to soften some of the blows, and they've decided not to do so.
I mean, the Chancellor said that under this government, people will eventually feel £500 better off a year. Do you reckon you will?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, everything about our business is contracting. You know, prior to the budget, we would think about what can we do? How can we make our business more efficient? How can we expand our business? Now we're thinking, not worth it. Contract the business.
Yeah, there's a huge amount of talk about defence spending, incredibly important, our national security, of course. But Matthew, I'm sure you feel like they've forgotten something on that front.
Yeah, I just feel as though, you know, the 500 million that they're going to raise from farmers is a real drop in the ocean when you think about the government spending. It's not going to make a lot of difference, but which makes me think really it's been an ideological move. I think the Labour Party, You know, you only need to look at the fact that they've had meetings with BlackRock and Bill Gates, and you know, I didn't think this a year ago, but I do think now that they want to control how land is farmed, and that's what this is all about.
Yeah, it's not the first time I've heard that from farmers. Matthew, David, Jordan, both of you, thank you very much indeed. So there you go, Tom and Gloria. A complete absence of any mention of farming, agriculture, despite the incredible sense of anxiety that I'm hearing from farmers up and down the country in the last 6 or so months. Is that good enough?
Yeah, potentially a missed opportunity there from the Chancellor to assuage some of that anxiety. But Emily, we'll be catching up with you, of course, a little bit later in the programme.
Yeah, there was absolutely no mention, was there, Gloria and Tom, of farming, of agriculture, of rural communities at all. And that was certainly noted by the farmers I've met today. Now, I'm in a particular farm, Bainbridge Farm in Northumberland, but farmers from across the region have all come down to this particular farm to make sure that their voices are heard on GB News, which is fantastic. And I'm delighted to say that I am now joined by Rachel Fife, who is a livestock farmer, and we have Bruce Jobson, who's a former dairy farmer and also a prominent agricultural journalist. So fantastic to have you both. Rachel, how did you feel by the omission of farming from that spring statement?
I wasn't surprised, to be honest. It was disappointing, but what else could we expect from this government? No news is good news, so at least they're not taking anything else away from us. But it is disappointing, especially when we learned last week that the SFI was closed and there was no more money for that.
Sustainable farming.
Yeah, incentive, yeah, so that's now gone. Some more information that would have been interesting and useful, but I'm not surprised.
Yeah, it sounds like you have to dig deep for information. It wasn't something that Rachel Reeves wanted to go over on this spring statement. But your main thing is beef.
Yeah, so we do calf rearing at home. We get dairy cross calves in at 2 weeks old and rear them up to about 6 months and then move them on to the next sort of stage from that. So that's what we do.
Yep. And you can find your meat in supermarkets and restaurants and things like that.
Yeah. So we work with a company called Warrendale Wagyu, doing Wagyu cross dairy calves and cattle, and they have supermarket contracts with Aldi. They've got restaurants, they've got online shops. Yeah.
Fantastic stuff. Now, Bruce, I'll bring you in. You were there listening to every word from Rachel Reeves and then from the Shadow Chancellor as well. Were you surprised that there was no mention?
I wasn't surprised at all. There was nothing in there for farming. Literally, I don't think there was anything there for growth. You know, we've been talking about this budget for growth. There was nothing in there for growth, certainly not in farming. And actually, the opposite's going to happen. These cattle behind you have actually increased in cost roughly by £400 per head in the last 3 months. Price of beef is rocketing up. The cost of production is increasing and the cost to consumer is going to increase. And there was nothing in there for farming. Now, as we heard in the discussion today, people are supposed to be £400 a head better off. But it's all right for the MPs. They're getting a £2,500 a year increase in their salaries. Maybe it's another $2,500 next year. There's nothing in there for businesses, for business growth. As Rachel just pointed out there, the sustainable farming incentive has gone last week, just cut completely. Farmers are going to be in a very difficult situation. We're on the back of the worst 2 years in farming this century, 2022, 2023. And unfortunately, the consumer's going to have to pay the price for it.
Well, thank you very much, Bruce and Rachel. As you can hear, there was a vague hope that there might have been something in there for agriculture, for farmers, for rural communities. But it sounds as though there isn't, or at least it was omitted from this statement. Back to you.
Emily, thank you so much. You can really sense the anger there. Talk to you soon.